We were unable to record our latest Sunday service this month, May 2020, but we're very fortunate to be able to present, I think for the first time, an archive recording that we've just rediscovered actually, a Sunday service from 10 years ago, 2010, from October 2010, which includes a very uplifting and very inspirational talk from Sally Klein, our previous board member of Unity. So we're very pleased to be able to present this recording to you in place of our normal later Sunday service.
Welcome everyone to our service today. It's a real joy and pleasure to see you all on this beautiful sunny October afternoon. And so we're going to begin our service, as we very often do, by humming first and then singing Surely the Presence. Keeping your eyes shut for a few moments, let's just be still and feel that presence, that mighty presence. Fill us and bless us as we come together in fellowship, in song. And so we give thanks for being present this afternoon, for the presence that guided us here, for the presence that fills us and connects us and blesses us in so many ways. And as we receive that presence, we extend that presence as love and joy together today. Amen. And I'd invite you to join me in reading the words of the Unity Centre blessing that's written in the programme. Centred in God, assured by faith, and prospered by divine love, we move forward to serve humanity by building unity together. We see our centre growing in spiritual stature day by day, filled with divinely guided seeking souls. We affirm God is mighty in our midst. We are guided by God's infinite love and wisdom as we serve in the best way we can. We give thanks for the blessings of abundant good unfolding now. Amen. And so we start officially with our first song, song number 72, Open My Eyes, which is a beautiful song which will take us into the daily word and reflection on the daily word.
Open my mouth and let me bear gladly the whole children thus to share. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my heart illumine me, Spirit divine.
So the word for today is zeal. I enthusiastically accept my good and go forward to achieve my purpose is the affirmation. And the word enthusiastically gives us a clue to the word zeal, which is a word we don't use much nowadays. But today we usually think of it as meaning enthusiasm. My good comes to me in ways too numerous to count. Opportunities abound as I keep my mind, heart and vision focused on God. With each opportunity comes a chance to do something meaningful, to be of service to others, or to follow through on a divine idea. As I pursue the desires of my heart, all I need is provided. I have the energy, the will and the clarity to accomplish that which is calling me. I move forward in faith and let God do through me all that is mine to do. With God as my guide, I am joy-filled, enthusiastic and excited about my life. I know that all things are possible for one who believes, and with God I contribute in positive and powerful ways. And the Bible quotation from Romans 12:11, do not lag in zeal, be ardent in spirit, serve the Lord. I enthusiastically accept my good. I enthusiastically accept my good and go forward to achieve my purpose. Our good comes to us in ways too numerous to count. So maybe we could just spend a few moments now just thinking of the good in our lives. We just had that lovely hymn, beautiful hymn. And the words about silently now I wait. And that's one of the biggest gifts we have. If we practice waiting, calming our minds, and then we can receive the guidance either directly to our minds or sometimes it just unfolds in our lives anyway. So I just invite you now to close your eyes for a moment and reflect upon these words, upon the good in your life, the blessings in your life, and the enthusiasm that you have for whatever task you have in your life. And if you're not maybe going that way, maybe you want to meditate on that for a moment. What fills you with joy and enthusiasm? What makes you excited? So I'd just like to take a moment again to just think of that affirmation I enthusiastically accept my good. And say that quietly within your own mind. I enthusiastically accept my good. And go forward to achieve my purpose. And you may like to keep your eyes closed now as I read Psalm 121, a song of ascents. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in, from this time forth and for evermore.
God is my perfect peace, through him I rest. God is my perfect joy, through him I rest. God is my perfect will, through his done. God is my perfect hope, that we are one.
Thank you, everyone. Absolutely beautiful words. God is my perfect all, and we are one. Just really sums up what unity is, really, for so many of us. And so I'm delighted now to welcome Sally, who's going to talk to us today. Sally has been around in Unity for, 20 or more years? Quite a long time, yes. And is a wonderful friend and a good choir singer and all sorts of gracious things that she brings to us. So I know that you are going to enjoy the talk this afternoon. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Kimmery. Oh, Isabel, that was just such a beautiful reading of that psalm. Lovely. You know, it was just last time we met together, about a month ago, and I was sitting over there, and I announced the title of my talk was Higher Ground. And it was Sandy, sitting over here, just gave a spontaneous yes. Those of you who are here, do you remember?
Yes.
And I thought that was so beautiful because it was an expression of a spontaneous desire, I think, in all of our hearts to go higher. We just seem to instinctively know that higher is better. But why? Why is higher better? What do we get when we go higher? Well, if I were to ask one of you, I'm not, because of health and safety, to stand on a chair and just go higher in this room right now, you'd get a different perspective on the room, wouldn't you? You get a kind of sense of the whole group together, not so much just the people who are sitting around you as you do when you are on a lower elevation. And if we all went up to a mountain and looked about, especially a particularly tall one, we'd get a perspective of an entire landscape. We might be able to see a whole geological structure of a glacier that may have centuries ago moved through the valley and carved it out. And if we were in a space capsule and went even higher still, we'd have a sense of the planet as a whole, one beautiful, shining, white, blue marble sphere, glowing against the sun and the darkness of space. So we get a perspective that helps us to see a unified whole when we go higher. Well, what do we lose when we go higher? Well, the person who's standing on the chair looking down at all of us will no longer see some of the detail, might not notice a speck of dust on somebody's lapel or a wrinkle in someone's skirt. And when we're up on that mountain, we don't see so much of the detail about the highs and the lows and individual trees. So again, we lose a little bit of the detail. And we're up in our space capsule looking down upon the Earth. We don't have any sense of national boundaries. And if we're high enough, we don't even have a sense of where the Earth and the sea stop and start. So there's something about going higher that gives us a perspective that allows us to see a unified whole and gives us a bit of distance and detachment from the minute and from the detail. And I think the writer of Psalm 121 captures this spiritual desire. I lift up mine eyes unto the hills. Why? Because from there comes my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And what kind of help do we get promised from this Lord who's up on the hill? Quite a lot, actually. We get the promise of a Lord who never sleeps, never slumbers or sleeps, on watch every moment of every day and every night, to be our shade in the hot sun, to be our shield when the arrows come toward us, to be our light in the darkness, and to be our life in death. And not just now, but now and forevermore. Wow, it's quite a promise. No wonder we want to go up high. But it seems to me if we really think about this psalm and we keep this metaphor of going up a hill, we can start to begin to see a slightly deeper meaning that I think is really relevant for us today. Because the writer of this psalm seems to be telling us in very clear terms that if we keep our eyes down, we're not going to get that help. We've got to look up. We've got to raise ourselves in order to get the help. And really, that's the message of Jesus Christ. It was the message of Gautama the Buddha, message of all the enlightened souls who've ever shared their experience with us, that we've got to go higher. There's no help on the material level. Now, that's a bitter pill to take in some cases, especially when we are looking for some kind of a formula on the material level to give us a bit of ease from the material burdens that we have, and we all have them. But the Bible tells us very categorically that if we reap to the flesh, we're going to get corruption. That's pretty tough talking. Because the solutions that are available on the material level are not lasting, they're not sustainable. They will corrupt. And if we put our faith in them, that faith is on rocky ground. So our goal and our zeal should be focused really not on finding more and different material solutions, but our goal must be to strengthen our spiritual climbing capabilities. Got to become spiritual rock climbers. And we got to find the tools that are going to help us really dig into the rock. And so that's what we want to do. We want to have the tools that are going to get us digging into that rock, getting there so that we can hoist ourselves up, and gravity is always pulling us down. Hoist ourselves up to the next level. Now, of course, the rock may feel very sharp, and it may cut us, and we may even have a bit of bleeding. Our problems hurt sometimes. When we are sad, when we're lonely, when we don't have enough, when we're ill, when we're in pain, it hurts. And there's no use saying it's not true, it's not there. We know that it hurts. So our tools have to be ones that allow us to look right at that rock and dig right into it. Because no matter how we feel and how it seems to us, we are not permanent residents of that level of consciousness. We are on our way up. So no matter what our current state seems to be, we have a promise of something higher, something better. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I am your fortress. I am your high tower. I am your shield and your light and your life. I and my Father are one. I in the midst of thee am mighty. I. So even in our material state of consciousness, we're told that right where we are is this I. Is this I. So we don't really have to go anywhere. We don't really have to do anything but to open ourselves to that reality and keep on keeping on. Keep on going higher. So what do we find when we get up there at the top? We find ourselves. We find that what we were seeking, we already are. We find that there never was a separation. It was just the way it seemed at each of those lower levels of consciousness. So let's think about this. We use the word I in so many contexts. We think of ourselves as I, David, I, Kimmery, I, Isabel, I, Sally. But that's not the I we're talking about, is it? We could get in a lot of trouble thinking that I is a God. No, of course not. We know better. We're talking about that I, that sacred I within us that is our refuge and high tower. So let's just take a moment now to just quietly, secretly, sacredly say the word I. And whether that I seems a far off place for us now, or whether it's right here and we can touch it and taste it, this is our goal. And we must use with zeal any and every tool we have at our disposal to get us to this elevated state where we have no words, no thoughts, just this second of a void into which our true identity can fill us and teach us. In Unity, we have many wonderful tools at our disposal. We have our monthly services, and we have our daily word, and we have classes, and we have tapes and books, and any other tools that you use in your own private practice. But let's be absolutely sure that we know why we're using these tools, and that we don't get distracted by the tools themselves. That the tools, be they a beautiful song, a beautiful Bible verse, a beautiful meditation, is only a tool to take us to another level where we can be in the quiet and receive. Because we don't know what that I of our being really is. We've never met them. We don't know how beautiful they are. We don't know what they've got to say. We don't know what the experience will be like. And any imagination might just block the impartation that it wants to give us. If we go in with an expectation, that expectation might be the very thing that keeps us out of the presence. So we've got to use our tools at whatever level they are available to us, know why we're using them, and then be ready to discard them if we get the sense that they might be holding us back. It's hard to give up a beautiful affirmation that has served us for years. It's hard to give up a prayer. It's hard to think that it isn't the beautiful song and the playing that takes us where we want to go. But we might have to give up that song and that affirmation and that Bible verse in order to really be open to the next level of consciousness. Because we're on this glorious journey. And we're ready to find out what the Spirit has to say to us, not what we have to say to it. So let's make a commitment, shall we? Let's make a commitment to not be distracted by trying to solve our problems on the ground level. Nothing wrong with looking for solutions that give us relief. No, we're not meant to suffer, I don't believe that. But we can get distracted. That if we can maintain our zeal, that no matter what we're trying to solve at the material level of our consciousness, that's not our day job. Our day job is climbing higher. And if that's the case, then every problem that we have really can be a stepping stone for us. Each time we see that we are mired in the material consciousness, it can be our trigger that it's an opportunity to go higher. And in this way, we're not going to be Pollyannas, we're not going to be denying the reality of our experience, but we will be using the reality of our experience to gain a higher sense of reality. As you know, when you're climbing a mountain, I suspect you don't always know where you are, do you? It's only when you stop and look back you think, wow, I've come quite a ways. And in our spiritual journey, we might say, my goodness, I used to be afraid of that. I'm not afraid anymore. I used to be upset at that, and I'm not upset anymore. This used to plague me and worry me, and it doesn't anymore. These are the signs that we're making progress. But wherever we seem to be, there's higher that we can go. That's the promise, and that's what we're working for. So, we're going to be spiritual rock climbers. We're going to use our tools, we're going to dig into the rock, hoist ourselves up, support and love each other on the journey, be kind and compassionate to ourselves as we go, and never forget the promise of higher ground. Thank you.
Confident living, rights everyone, dynamic power as we be strong.
even though we're sitting down, we're still on that higher place. And in that higher place, let's just take a moment to give thanks. Gratitude is a wonderful tool to take us to that higher place. And so with gratitude, we give thanks for all that we've received today, all the gifts that have been given, for the money substance you've so kindly blessed Unity with, for the beautiful music that Dorothy encourages us to sing through her playing, through the wonderful talk, the inspiring talk from Sally today, and for the love and wisdom that came through the daily word and the Bible reading. And perhaps most importantly of all, for all the gifts that you each bring individually to bless all of us here today. We give thanks for all of this and so much more. And truly we know that we are one in that presence of God, that God fills us and blesses us today and goes forward with us from this day to bless all that we do as we interact with everyone on our individual and collective life journeys. And so knowing that God is with us and we are one in God, I invite you to speak the closing prayer with me that's written in the programme. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. We are the power of God. For we are one in the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Today. We can delighted to feed you out there now with tea and biscuits and a few little munchies, something that David's brought as well. So bless you, it's been a joy to share the service with you. Thank you, everyone.